So we're here thanks to My Hand and Heart, and I'm Moni. I am an IREF, that's Institute Refs. I'm part of a graduate peer support group that serves graduate students across the entire institute. And so if you're a grad student, you're stressed, and you need some support, we are here to support that, have conversations with you, take you out to coffee or tea. And so that's what we do. And in order to support this role, we take training through Livy Mahaffey, who is conflict management at MIT. And a new angle that we're taking now is to try and teach these to everybody and anyone who is interested, which is why we're here today. And so thank you. We're very interested and excited to have you here. And so what I'd like to talk to you today is all from a great book called Difficult Conversations. And it's about tough conversations and why are they tough, right? And then how can we make them easier? And so what I'd like you to take away from today's workshop is that every tough conversation is really happening at 3 different levels. And that there are common mistakes that you can make at 3 of those different levels that you can incept or change your approach or change your mindset in order to make you a more effective communicator and to make conversations that are probably still tough, just easier and more effective and kind to everybody involved. There's 3 things. One is like it's facts. It's like, what happened? You know, like, what's the deal? Like, you missed this report, I counted on you. The deadline was X, like, pretty clear cut. It's like, these are factual things. We're talking about them. And then in reality, we're not robots discussing what has occurred. We're also having feelings. We're like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I forgot this report. I was tired. Oh God, I'm really embarrassed. I'm scared. And then there's a 3rd level, which is identity. And that's an internal conversation that you have with yourself. As you're sitting in a conversation that's hard, late report example, I'm not an incompetent person. I can't, like, oh my gosh, am I irresponsible? Like, I don't think I am. Like, I'm freaking out a little. Like, I'm so on top of things. This is not me. And I'm feeling jarred. I feel like I don't resonate with what this conversation is portraying me to be. And every conversation that's really hard and means a lot to you has all these levels happening all at the same time. And what's hard is we often don't sit down and really disambiguate those 3 levels and take a step back and go, what's happening here? Oh gosh, I am freaking out. This is hard. Why? Okay, so there's 3 levels in the conversation. I got it. There's facts. There's feelings. Sure. There's something about me and an internal conversation. Now, what makes conversations tough is there's things that we do at each of these levels that are often very unhelpful. And so there's a chart that starts off with common unhelpful things we do, and then ways to make them helpful. And it's very, very short, and it's summarized. It's sort of a global thing, and I'm going to quickly walk you through it. And so let's talk about facts, right? That's step 1, like what happened. There's sort of 3 ways that like you can talk about facts in a tough conversation that are sort of hard to deal with. One of them is like, you're wrong. I'm right. This is it. This is non-negotiable. And that makes it really hard because that polarizes the conversation, right? It makes a clear like division between you and however many people you're talking with, and it makes you defensive. And so right versus wrong is usually not a helpful way to enter a conversation when you're trying to get all sides. A more helpful way to reframe it is to say, I have my perspective. Like, I have my side, and you have your side, and I want to hear about your side. I don't think that your side negates my side. It's just different. Let's all talk about it. Like, this is what I see. What do you see? And that leaves it more open, and it takes out the judgment, and it takes out the defensiveness that makes it easier for everybody in a conversation to contribute. And on a similar note, another common thing that you can do in terms of facts is maybe you're talking about something went wrong, and you're like, this is your fault. I am assigning blame. Like, you failed the deadline. Like, it was ball on your court, it's all on you. And that's also hard because, again, that triggers defensiveness. It's not a very friendly way to enter a conversation where someone has to step up and say, yes, I was wrong, and this is all the reasons why I'm wrong, and now I must take responsibility and feel utter shame and complicated emotions. And a way to talk about fault, because we don't want to not talk about fault. Like, sometimes things go wrong and you want to actually talk about it. And a useful way to bring everybody into a conversation in a way that feels more safe is to talk about contribution. Where you say, I'm not sitting here pointing fingers at you. We're in this situation, and we must have contributed somehow. And maybe not equally, and maybe one person more than the other, but we all contributed. And let's talk about, like, how did I contribute to this situation? Like, I could have reminded you. You know, I told you like 2 weeks ago and then didn't follow up with you about that. Like, I could have helped. I could have checked in. Were you busy? Were you turning in PSATs? You could have been like, I was hosed, I was overcommitted. I could have said something about how I might forget. I could have asked for help. You could ask for these things, and that puts everybody in a place where they feel more free to share and to reach out and not feel like somebody's about to get like kicked and put on the hot seat. And then last but not least, in like the realm of facts, this is a subtle one, but it's easy to, in a conversation where you feel hurt, to be like, I'm hurt, you meant to hurt me. Like, you had a bad impact on me, so you must have wanted to hurt me. That was totally your intention. And the reality is you actually don't know their intentions. You know their impact. It was bad. I'm so distressed. Did they mean to distress you? Maybe not, maybe yes, but you don't know. And so a very helpful, very subtle mind shift is to sit down and be like, I want to tell you you had an impact on me, and this is what it is. And I want to hear what were you intending when you did that, you know? And then also to realize it goes both ways. What is your impact on them? You know your intentions. You're like, my intentions are great. They're good. I'm a good person. And maybe they're freaking out. Maybe they're interpreting you in a completely different way. And so very subtle, but I think really crucial, is this when you talk about facts and you're like, you hurt my feelings. They're like, I didn't mean to. That's not what I said. To be able to disentangle impact from intent and to be clear about that. In the feelings section, you might think that a good conversation might not address feelings. Like, that might get messy, like, I don't want to, I'll just, like, I'm gonna be clean and rational. I am not gonna talk about my feelings. Or, I will talk all about my feelings. You hurt my feelings, I will tell you all about them. This is your responsibility. Overshare. Have you ever been on the side of an emotional dump? It's rough. It's a really tough conversation. And so, we don't want to dump feelings into a hard conversation, and we also don't want to extract them either. We do want to talk about them, because feelings are happening, and to deny that would be strange. Like, we are running by feelings. We have emotional reactions. And so you want to address feelings in a tough conversation, and you want to be honest about your feelings, and you want to inquire about the other person's feelings or party's feelings. And you want to do so without judgment or without attribution. You don't want to be like, you're inconsiderate. Like, whoa, no, not what we're saying. You can show up in a conversation and say, I feel sad that this report didn't get turned in on time. There was a hard deadline and we missed out on an opportunity. And I feel disappointed. That's just where I am in this late report situation I cooked up. And then you can be like, well, how are you feeling? Like, I bet this is hard for you too. And you can say that in a way that it's like, I'm talking about me and this is not a reflection on you. I am not pointing the finger. I'm just being like, this is real. This is where I am. And I want to hear where you are before we start talking about things. And last but not least, identity. And this is kind of an interesting one. So I said the identity level of a conversation is like, what does this say? Like, you internally going, what does this say about me? And what's really hard is if you have like 100% identity where you're like, I'm a good person, no questions asked. I am a competent person who never fails, never turns reports in late. And then when you do, meltdown. I don't know myself. I failed. I've let everybody down. I was wrong. So that's rough, because you're putting your like emotional eggs or emotional identity in one basket. And the reality is that people are complex, and that there are good people who fail, and there are bad people who do good. And like, everybody's just way more complicated. You're doing yourself a disservice and like holding yourself into a binary all or nothing. And so the shift into a more helpful mindset is to say, like, I mean well, and I may screw up sometimes, and I might hurt people's feelings, and that's fine. Like, I don't want to do that, and I'm gonna be upset with myself. And I give myself permission and room and flexibility that I'm a complicated human being, and I will probably find myself there. And then when you find yourself in a tough conversation, you're like, oh, it's not me, and I'm human, and I've done it now. At least you're not melting down completely. And to also recognize that some people that you're talking to might be having this meltdown. They might be freaking out about, oh my God, this is not me. And then you could be like, hey, I need to check in with you. You seem to be having a really rough time digesting this conversation. Do you need time to yourself? Do you have something going on that you're not fully present in discussing what's actually happening?
Thanks for watching. If you like this video and would like to learn more about tough conversations, we recommend another bite-sized conflict management video. We also recommend that you learn more from some of the great resource people on campus, like your GRT or GRA and advisor. You might also be interested in checking out conflict management at MIT.